After my video on Dungeon Full Dive, I had a lot of you comment saying that you think I'd really enjoy Demeo. You were not wrong. My trust was not misplaced. I have thoroughly enjoyed playing this over the last week, as my Discord will tell you. I am on it all the time. Demeo is a VR dungeon tabletop crawler, very similar to D&D. And to get the full experience of this, I enlisted the help of my friend Locust, and we tackled this game together. The tutorial is where we start, as always. We quickly learn the basic mechanics such as movement, healing, basic combat, and use of spell cards. You also learn about the Fog of War here. Yes, that's right. Unlike Kingdoms of Illyria, these guys have actually managed to accomplish the legendary, formidable Fog of War. Each turn you have 2 action points. Movement, picking up coins, opening doors, chests, and using spell cards will all use action points. You have to choose your moves carefully. This adds a simple gameplay loop, but a massive scope for strategy. Me and Locust found ourselves quite often stopping for a few minutes and planning out the next best angle of attack. Literally. My rogue deals 2 extra damage when behind an enemy. Every single move you make feels like it holds weight and is super satisfying when done correctly. And this game doesn't pull any punches. This game is brutal. It is difficult. Once all players die, you exit the dungeon and you restart from room 1. It adds a lot more tension when one of the players is downed and you're fighting for your life, or your friend is fighting for their life and you're just lying on the floor helpless. Splitting up in this game is also punishing. Triggering too many creatures to attack you will lead to you getting very quickly overwhelmed. Once again, making every decision count. Even if it may be tempting to run off and grab a nearby chest, you probably shouldn't. This game has many pros. It's got super easy controls. Within a minute, you're not even thinking about them. You're just using them. They're second nature within a couple of minutes. Models are super detailed, meaning zoomed in gameplay feels really satisfying because you can see your characters up close, animated, just in very high fidelity. It just feels good. That's not to say that zoomed out gameplay is bad. They're actually both very well done. There is RNG in this game, but not a wild amount, meaning you can get those hero moments and crazy saves where you didn't think, the situation was in your favor. Yet the dice rolls pull through and you manage to just get out by the skin of your teeth. For example, there's a coin flip card that lets you physically toss a coin in the game, and it decides whether you kill an enemy instantly or you do nothing at all. It feels so satisfying to land that coin flip in a moment where it really counts. This game has the best system I have ever seen for joining up with your friends really quickly. There is no friend system. You jump in, your friend starts a game, and gives you your room code, which is displayed in the game. Within 10 seconds of you booting the game up, you can jump into their room, and I mean physically jump into their room, and just start playing. This game handles this so well, and I wish more games would do this. You don't need a friends list for a game like this, and many other games do it, and it's the downfall of those games, because it becomes so clunky and so difficult to meet up with friends. You just end up not doing that. This game does it perfectly, and I want to see more games do this in the future. Because with the amount of games we've jumped into together, it has been a breeze. Minimum effort from us. Another pro to this is it was a quick tutorial, like sub 5-minute tutorial. Yet it gave all the information you could possibly want to start jumping into Demeo. Most tutorials feel that they need to tell you absolutely everything that is going on in their game, and to a certain extent, that's correct. You should do that. This game is so intuitive that it almost doesn't need a tutorial. I feel they could have actually scrapped the tutorial, or you and your friends can jump right into the game and figure it out on the fly. You will genuinely work it all out within the first 20 minutes of playing. That is credit to good game design. There's no pointless tasks. There are no extra menus that don't need to be there. This game has so little UI. In fact, it has no UI, other than when you flick your wrist over to look at your cards. And on your other wrist, you've got the current turn of whether it's me, Locust, or the enemies. And that's really all you need. This game doesn't need a lot of UI. You only get elements that you need to see when you point at characters. There's no permanent health bars above their head. This is done so well. The classes or characters all feel incredibly different yet balanced, which is really rare for a game like this because balance is not normally something taken into account between classes. And I'd say they've actually done an incredible job with this. You don't feel like you have to pick a character or you've gimped your team. You genuinely just pick whatever character you want to play, whatever looks enjoyable to you, and you can roll with it. To me, that's exciting. Because I don't like games where you jump in and your friends will be like, well, that's not the meta, you should be playing this if you want to get through it fast. No, you jump in, pick your character, and enjoy it. And every character feels so different that they actually are warranted as being separate characters, because they all fill a different purpose. Yet they're purposes that you don't have to have in that dungeon. You don't need a rogue, but having their ability to stealth and backstab is really helpful. You don't need a mage, but having their ability to freeze and burn in a wide area is very helpful. You don't need a paladin, but having a paladin to tank and take the brute force attacks is very helpful. You don't need an archer, but having an archer and their long range attacks is super useful. And my next part, which is something that I have been missing from games like this game is difficult. Like, actually difficult. Me and Locust died multiple times. I think we failed the dungeon 4 times before we even got to the final boss, which we still failed. We haven't beaten it yet. This boss absolutely slammed us, but it was enjoyable. It's hard to explain. This is a defeat that feels good. Because you know you gave it your all, but you know that you could probably give it more next time. And you know how you could possibly beat it next time. And that strategy is probably where you went wrong. It's not such a crushing defeat in this game that you feel like you've lost all hope. It's not you getting destroyed to the point that you don't want to play. Another pro of this game is there is no class locking. If you want 4 tanks, do it. 4 rogues? Sure, you can do that. No one's stopping you, and you're not penalised for doing so. Sure, dungeons are going to take longer if you go with 4 tanks. Dungeons are going to be a lot more of a pain train if you take 4 rogues. But you can do that, and no one's going to stop you. Now, we come to the cons of this game. And honestly, there's not many at all. One thing I will say is the difficulty is not scaled very well. It is intended between 2 and 4 players in the dungeons. However, if you go with 2 players, the health of the creatures is halved, but not their damage, it seems. So it's not necessarily scaled to 2 people if you take 2 people. The developers are aware of this after speaking to them, and they are working on a solution to that, which is good to know that they're listening, especially so early in development. The next con, really, that I can think of is if you want to go in a party of 4 and you don't want to pick the same classes, well, there's only 4 classes. So you're stuck with the same set of 4 in every party of 4. You're stuck with a paladin, a mage, a ranger, and a rogue, which I can see getting boring after a while. As I said previously, you don't have to pick one of each. You can mix and match. Currently, there is only 1 campaign, and it lasts about 2 hours. It is replayable, obviously. There's a lot of replayability here, actually, because the dungeons are very randomized. But there is only 2 hours of gameplay. Now, the next campaign is coming next month, early on. And it will be another 2-hour campaign by the looks of it, from what I've seen. And it will be free with the base game that you purchased. I like this because they could have quite easily charged extra, because people have already bought this game, but they know that they need to add value. And I appreciate the fact that they've realised that. After this, there will be DLC. These DLCs will contain extra campaigns, more cards, I've been told, and apparently extra characters. But like I say, that will be resolved because the devs have just released concept art of 9 new characters, which is over double what we currently have already. So, will we get all 9 characters? I don't think so. But we're going to get at least double what we currently have, which will be more than enough to solve the problem that I had with this. Even though this isn't a problem I myself ran into. So it's good to see that the devs look like they're going full steam ahead with current development, which is good to see very early on. There is currently no player build kit for levels or dungeons, which is something that I would really like to see. It has apparently been spoken about after looking through the devs Q&As, but it's not confirmed yet. For me, this would be the absolute game changer. If you could do that, I would be able to give this a 10 out of 10. Easily. Without any question of a doubt. So what's my conclusion on this game after having it for a week and honestly playing it every day? Well, this has very quickly become one of my favourite time filler games. If I've got an extra hour or so to spare, me and Locust will hop in, play a dungeon, and just chill. It's such a chill game. Which sounds strange, but it really is. Like, this is one of the most relaxing games I've played in VR in the longest time. I'm really enjoying this. It does have an early access feel, but not in a gameplay way. More in the lack of content. Like I say, there's one campaign currently and another one brewing, but that still only gives you about 4 hours of non-repeatable gameplay, which for the price is worth it. I do believe 8 hours, 4 to 8 hours of gameplay for a $20 game, I'd say that's fair, but it does feel that it's lacking content. Now, quite clearly, these developers have built all the tools in their engine to make the story. They just need to fill in the pages now. And as that starts to happen, I can see this game really taking off. I could see this becoming a staple of VR gaming. I really do. If I had to give this a rating, I would give this a solid 8 out of 10. The only reason it's missing marks is because there's not quite the content there to back up the good systems they have in place. But again, I believe that will come with time. That's all we've got time for today, unfortunately, but I will see you guys in the next video on Friday. As always, I hope you guys have thoroughly enjoyed this video. And I just want to say a massive thank you to our Patreons, including our Tier 3s. Zane, Spider and Cassius are absolute MVPs, along with all the rest of you. If you wish to support the channel, it's as easy as signing up for Patreon.